Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Experience Kills. This is episode 42, or The Meaning of Podcast, and I am your host Ben, and joining me today we have the forever host, Rob.
Hello. How's everyone doing this fine Sunday morning at time of recording?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Been playing lots of games, so looking forward to getting into that. And we also have joining us today host Leia.
No. Yeah, it's Sunday, thought Elsa.
And I will say, you know, I think it's great that Leah's joining us for this episode because we've got some very relevant stuff to discuss, though I wish it was better and less awful. But we will get to that shortly. Today we're going to be doing all kinds of things. We've got lots of news, lots of big topics to dive into, and we've actually got a lot of games me and Rob have been playing, so I think we're going to forego a topic this week. Because I think some of the news is going to kind of be a topic anyway as well, and we're going to talk about some of the games we've been playing and things like that. But as is always the way, we will start off with what we've been watching on streaming services and broadcast television and the cinema and everything and ever.
I'll go first because mine is really, really short. Because of various real life related reasons, I've not been able to watch much of anything important this week, so I've not actually contributed to the list. But please, both of you, tell me about Masters of the Universe, because the more I see of it, the more I want to watch it.
Oh, good. It's like He-Man. When I remember, it was when I was young. My mother could feed me anything, and because I was watching He-Man, it was brilliant. And now this is like, it's not a remake, it's the continuation. But for like my age group now, it's just so goddamn good. And you've got amazing voice cast and everything. But they're doing it in like bits, aren't they, Ben? It's just...
Yeah, so talking about the voice cast, you've got Mark Hamill, Skeletor,
Yep.
which is just perfect. I mean, it is quite jokery, I won't lie. It does remind me a bit of his Joker performance, but it's a damn good performance.
Yeah.
I say that's complaining that it's too high quality.
Exactly. And then you've got like Sarah Michelle Gellar in a new lead role, though it's an existing character, but definitely expanded upon a lot. I really enjoyed it. I did something that I don't normally do, which is sit down and basically binge the whole thing, like, because they're only half an hour, there was only like 6 of them, so I just watched it all in one go, which was pretty much something I don't do. Now for me, my Master of the Universe sort of previous was like a few of the toys, a vague recollection, so it definitely wasn't like I call myself a fan, but I really enjoyed this. Leah, what's your take on the controversy, the crap Kevin Smith's been dealing with? By the way, he's the showrunner.
Yes.
So, what do you mean, which one? The fact that this is my He-Man show and He-Man isn't in it. You've made it all feminist and bollocks by making a woman the lead character. You bastard, you bastard.
Oh, sod off is my reaction to that. It's a natural continuation. It's not redoing He-Man. It's telling another story. It's not called He-Man and the Master of the Universe. It's called Master of the Universe Revelations. Funnily enough, other people can be in it. It's masters, plural. Get over yourselves. Sorry, I got a little bit angry then.
No, I mean, that's totally fair, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the fact is as well that this is a part 1, and it's clear if you made it through to the end that Adam is going to be a big player in part 2. And Kevin Smith's been talking about what... Go on.
Who the fuck's Adam?
Adam is He-Man.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And Adam is going to be a big player, and it's going to be about what it is to be Adam, maybe, shall we say, without previous advantages. So I think it ends in a really exciting cliffhanger. I can't wait to see what part 2 brings. And it was a rollicking good adventure. It was a quality quest. There was some great, like, bringing the band back together vibe, and also like mixing up characters that you wouldn't expect, and it was just so well written, and like the whole thing was so well done. The action was fantastic and it looked great. I was totally hooked, and I think exactly what Leah said, that this is a sequel to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe for people that were fans when they were kids who have grown up, and it nails it. And I think those people complaining about, I mean, let's be honest, He-Man was kind of the most boring part of Masters of the Universe. I always thought I had a Master of Arms action figure, I had Skeletor. I didn't give a crap about He-Man. He was so generic. So it was like, I don't know, I don't miss him being a big part of it.
I always loved the terrible, terrible puns that He-Man used to do
Puns, you
just
say?
throughout the show. And I also missed it. They used to do like a Jerry Springer's final thought thing at the end of all the He-Mans as like just like, you know, like a public notice for kids to like, you know, hey kids, it's He-Man, I'm cool.
Like
Don't be
G.I.
a
Joe
dick.
sort of thing. Same kind of. Yeah, I'm glad they don't have that anymore. That's just pretty cheap
Oh, they were
bollocks.
brilliant. It was so good though.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. I'm glad I don't remember that
Yeah.
bit. I like G.I.
Well,
Joe more growing up, so I
I
remember those
can't
bits. But...
stress how I had He-Man, I had Battle Cat, amazing. I had Teela, Evil Lyn, Man at Arms, Skeletor, just it was so good.
And Rob had the cutest cat. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee, you've got in here some other animated stuff. Oh, is Van Helsing animated?
No.
Oh,
no,
sorry, I
it's
thought
not.
Van Helsing was animated. Don't know why.
No, it's not animated at all. So I've been watching Van Helsing on Netflix. This is not a new show. It's been there for several years. I think it's actually finished now. They've got like 5 or 6 seasons. But it's kind of vampires have taken over the earth because a volcano exploded and all the dust went up, and now they can go out during the day.
Huh.
It's originally a sci-fi show, and you can tell because it's got that, you know, sci-fi vibe about it.
Not a lot of
Kind
money.
of like not a lot of money. The entirety of the first season is basically in an abandoned hospital. So, yeah.
Okay.
But it's about a woman who is a Van Helsing, though she doesn't know this at the time, who basically, she is the predator to the vampires, and if she bites them, they turn human again.
Huh.
It is surprisingly good, albeit you can really tell it's sci-fi. It kind of gets better a bit afterwards. But it's just really interesting and really, really, really dark. Like, really dark. I
She
think
goes
they were
around
trying to
biting vampires.
Yeah.
This is my question. Is it because then is it something in her saliva that then cures them? Or is it
Yeah.
just magical teeth? Because if it's magical teeth, pull them all out and stick them on sticks.
No, I think it's saliva because she has quite a lot of similarities in her powers to the vampires, but she's still human. It's really interesting. I'm quite into it, but it's kind of like, I think they made it as a vampire apocalypse answer to The Walking Dead. So it's really grim, like really, really grim. But I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
That sounds more interesting than I expected.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It wasn't what I expected, put it that way.
The fact she has to bite them is a little bit odd.
It's like this vampire's like getting all bitey and comes in close and then she bites. It's like, hey, what are you doing? That's my gig.
That's what I was going to do.
I'm a
Be
biter.
honest, they capture her at one point, and the first thing they do is put a Hannibal Lecter style face guard on her so she can't bite them.
Pretty. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Okay. It's different.
And one thing that was really, really good about it is it kind of explores how people who were vampires and she's bitten and have turned back to human cope with being human again, because it's like in this world, the vampires, they lose all form of conscience mostly and stuff like that, and it's how they cope with being humans again and living with all the crap they've done.
Okay. That's interesting. That's different. I've been checking out the much lauded, critically well received, but seemingly nobody's kind of watched because of where it is, which is Apple TV Plus, For All Mankind, which is the Ronald D. Moore alternative history about what if the Soviets landed on the moon first, and what that would have meant for America, what that would have meant for the space program. It's got Joel Kinnaman in the lead. It's obviously starts in the 60s, but I believe season 2 is quite a lot in the 80s, for example, so they do a bit of a time jump and move the technology forward. But basically, it's I know I've read spoilers. I've heard they end up on Mars quite early on, for example, and things like that. So it's interesting because the more it diverts from the established timeline and the sort of interesting, weird situations that means comes up and stuff. But basically, there's Americans and Russians fighting each other on the moon in various moon bases, which is pretty fucking cool. So it's very well made.
Sounds like you watched that quite a lot. It's like you're rushing through it.
Stop getting tips from He-Man, Rob. Like, seriously. He's not that bright. Just yeah.
No, but puns.
But puns, yes. And then, so only like a couple of episodes into that, but it's really good. And I think not enough people should have checked out Apple TV Plus. Like Ted Lasso, some of the best shit coming out is on there. Foundation's coming, I think September, October, which is going to be the best TV show, judging by the trailers. And I can't wait to see that. But like, yeah, Ted Lasso's on Apple TV Plus, which is my other favoritist thing. And I know from my badgering around how good season 1 was to Leia, she's now watching season 2 as well. And it's good, isn't it? It's really good.
It's not about football in the slightest. That's just incidentally the sport that they've chosen to put in there. They are the loveliest people in the entire world. It's just amazing.
And how much they all care about each other. It's just so heartwarming to watch. Like, yeah, Ted Lasso is life. That's my new thing. Not football is life, like one of the characters says. Ted Lasso is life. But the final thing I've been watching is I came to this revelation, I think, watching this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, which is professional wrestling, and I won't go on about it too much. But this is perhaps the best professional wrestling I have ever seen. And I have seen a lot of professional wrestling over the many years, from the Attitude Era through WWE's sort of resurgence to this, post indie wrestlers taking over the world, and the quality of what they put into their weekly show, which feels like pay-per-view quality every single week right now, is just impeccable, with the best storytelling, with the best wrestlers in the world doing the best, abilities that they have. It's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. And if you have even the most sort of passing interest in pro wrestling, this is on ITV. Anybody can watch it every week. If you've ever watched it wrestling as a kid, you're even like remotely interested, it's so damn good right now that everyone should check it out again. Just get back into it. And that's what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people that fell off wrestling many years ago, watched it as kids, they're getting back into it via AEW because it is the wrestling fans wrestling, and it is it's not a horrible corporation forcing what it wants down your throat like WWE does. It's absolutely amazing. Like, I cannot say that enough. So I just thought it'd be worth mentioning. It's been a long time since we talked about wrestling. We used to do it quite a lot on the podcast. So me and Richard.
It is really good. It's like WWE is this like old ogreish lumbering giant of a mean person, and it's like AEW is like this young swift ninja that's just running circles around them. It is that good. And because WWE got rid of all their talent, and AEW just gone, yep, I'll have him, I'll have her, and they're getting all the best people. It's so good, and I hope the rumours are true.
I mean, the rumor is so big that even Rob might know who I'm talking about when I say CM Punk. He's so large he might have broken through into popular culture. Rob, no, that face says it all. He doesn't even know who that is. But it seems like at this point,
I would have assumed CM Punk was some sort of music artist if you said the name to me with no context. To be honest, yeah, I also have a cat doing gymnastics on me. So yeah,
but it's looking pretty damn locked down that he's showing up at AEW in the next few weeks / months, and that's massive. You can't overstress, like, that's just humongous. So
I forgot as well, because Colt Cabana's there, and they're friends, aren't they, as well? So.
There's just all the good ones are there now. All the good ones. God.
Hey, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is not there.
Well, he's not anywhere. But Chris Jericho is, and Christian is there from Edge and Christian. People, other names you might recognize, Rob, and so many of the big talent are there right now. It's incredible. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. Anybody, anything else, or we'll get into the stories, the news. Yeah, we'll get into the news then. Well, let's kick off with what is a recurring feature on the Experience Kills podcast, which is what's been delayed this week. And in what's been delayed this week, and I think, let's be honest, this was not a surprise, Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon, the PS5 exclusive, has been delayed into 2022. I think that was almost always going to happen, but it just means PlayStation is losing yet another one of the things that they would say differentiates its lineup from Xbox, when they don't have the the amazing offerings of Game Pass and stuff. And that is one of their big first-party exclusives has now slipped into the next calendar year and is going to miss the Christmas release window. Bummer for them, but I guess it gives everybody else a chance to actually get a PlayStation 5. So that's a positive. Anybody got any comments on that, or just shrug whatevs?
It's to be expected. I remember the gameplay showcase that was chugging.
It wasn't good, was it?
It's like, yes, this is clearly almost ready for release. It's like, yeah, come on. This is to be expected. I think after Cyberpunk doing many delays, developers are being more aware of, okay, no, people are still going to buy the shit out of our stuff, even if we delay it. So delay, especially after the last 18 months.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm glad they're doing that than pushing out something broken, buggy, and shit early.
That's my concern. My big concern for Battlefield 2042, right? So this is an online shooter. Now, Battlefield 4, and they haven't had the problems as much since, but Battlefield 4 came out at the start of the Xbox One generation and basically didn't work for a month. You couldn't get matches for about a month. And that is my concern with this, is that it's going to be hugely purchased, they won't be ready for it, and it won't work for a long period of time, because of 18 months of COVID as well. Even though EA has drafted in a raft of their developers to help get this out the door, I am still somewhat worried it won't be ready. But yeah, they kind of don't have a choice. So it's coming out, I think, that game, regardless. On to the next story. I think Rob's going to cover it. Next two.
Yes. So, whilst I have the cat writhing around on me, we have confirmation for the August Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus games. So, let me pull up the relevant information. On the Xbox, we have Darksiders 3 coming to subscribers on the 1st to
today.
the 31st of August. So that's today. That's live now to download if you would like to. And then on the 16th of August, we have Yooka-Laylee, which is very much the Banjo and Kazooie ripoff. So that's around until the 15th of September. And then on the Xbox 360, we have the adventure Lost Planet 3, which isn't actually too bad, to be honest.
It's the worst Lost Planet, though, isn't it?
Fine.
The other two are better.
It's the worst one by far, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's Sci-Fi Monster Hunter, wasn't it?
Kind of, but not quite. There was lots of arguably it was quite different because you had to manage your temperature and how much heat you had. The second one was great because there was lots of multiplayer in that. That was all multiplayer, so I played ages on that. It was so much fun. Lost Planet 3 was fine. It was all right. That was between the 1st and 15th of August. And then we have Fatal Fury Fighter Garou Mark of the Wolves on the 16th to the 31st of August. I know absolutely nothing about that one, apart from it's got a really annoying name.
I've got a pretty good knowledge of games, right? I've been around. I've played games for a long time now. I have no idea what the fuck
heard of that.
I've not heard. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Sorry, not a clue. I can tell you that Darksiders 3 didn't do anything for me. I tried to. I think that was in Game Pass at some point. Or I might have just got a copy of it. I can't remember. I bought it in a sale. It was super cheap. Not great. Did not love Darksiders 3. Some people like those games. The first one is the best one.
The first one is by far the best one, I agree.
Yeah.
Darksiders 3 is alright. I've played it a bit. It's trying too hard to be Dark Souls.
Oh.
It came out in the era of the Dark Souls clone. And that is basically what it's Darksiders crossed with Dark Souls. Because stuff respawns and it's all dodge related because of how Fury and her combat works. And it's if you like Dark Souls and you like Darksiders, you'll fucking love Darksiders 3.
Okay.
If you don't like either of them, you're not going to enjoy it. On the PlayStation 5, we have Hunter's Arena Legends, which is on the PS5 and PS4. And then on the PS4 exclusively, we have Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. And Tennis World Tour 2.
Not the stellar month you get from PlayStation usually. No. They've been very good recently, This is not a good one.
This is a weird month because these two offerings are actually reasonably equal.
Yes, which says a lot about PlayStation and not much about Xbox.
Yes.
So I don't know much about Hunter's Arena because this is a new game, so I can't talk about that. Plants vs Zombies, Battle for Neighborville is fine if you like the Plants vs Zombies shooters games. However, Tennis World Tour 2 has a really bad reputation because the developers basically dropped it like a sack of potatoes after release, didn't do anything to fix the bugs or the problems with the games. I found out about this recently because there were people asking about it online in relation to Wimbledon. Oh, yeah, tennis game, it's cheap, it's on sale on Xbox, what's the deal? And basically it's meant to be a shit show. And not a good title. I don't know for sure if that's the same on PlayStation, but it doesn't have a great reputation from what I can find out about it. But look, free is free. I think actually Xbox is offering slightly edges out PlayStation's, I think, this month. Even though they're the kind of the mediocre installments of their relevant franchises, Darksiders 3 and Lost Planet 3 are still kind of mid to good franchises, whereas I don't really rate PvZ, Battle for Neighborville. I like the mobile games, Tower Defense back in the day, but that's about it. I don't really think those shooters are any good.
The best Plants vs Zombies game was the first Plants vs Zombies game.
Yeah.
That was by far the best. With the shrooms and then the catapult stuff on the roof. That was good. The rest is just cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
They found a thing that works and they're just going with it until people stop buying it.
Yes.
So don't blame them, to be fair.
Well, I think what originally it wasn't EA. EA bought the developer right after the success of it was PopCap, wasn't it? After the success of PvZ, they bought the developer and they brought that and Peggle, which is the other PopCap thing, under their umbrella, and proceeded to like flog it till both of them until they were entirely spent in every way possible. I'm not turning it into a shooter.
Stop.
Sorry?
And then they didn't stop.
Yeah, and then just like the husk. There's nothing left. There's just nothing left. Spent, Leah, spent. Don't give me a look like that. Why don't you talk about other franchises we now in the next news story that we hope aren't spent and actually have potential for a fourth installment? So
that was an interesting segue.
So, as being a thing that BioWare has kind of put out in, I think it was tweets, wasn't it? So, everyone makes basically the same choices in Mass Effect, which I found quite interesting. It's like, it has kind of changed when people first played it to like the Legendary Edition, but generally, Garrus is your favourite squad mate. Most people cure Genophage. Most people shout at the admirals so Tali gets off. It's quite interesting, though I will say more people save the space racists than Caden, and that's not me.
I just want to say I think it's very important to me that Tali gets off. And I'm pretty sure it's the same for Rob. Very important.
Poor choice of words, Ben.
No, I mean, you don't, in relation to the Admiralty board, it's very important that she gets off. At all times.
The Admiralty board. I find it interesting how Space Racist gets saved a lot more than Caden.
But that's not because I don't think she's space racist, but I think it's because Caden is the wettest flannel on the entire galaxy, and he is just like, you are the most milquetoast non-character in anything ever. Plus, I think a lot of it is brought forward from KOTOR when his voice actor did Carthanassi. He was also the most milquetoast boring character on the bloody ship as well in that. And it's just like, I know I brought that dislike for Caden forwards, and it's like, man, she's space racist, but oh, you're so dull.
I will take dull and open-minded over exciting and racist any day.
Yeah.
In reality, yeah, but I want maybe if I want a bit of spice in my team, like I saved Ashley this time. I'm part of that.
I never
those
used Caden in my team anyway.
That's so when you
never left the ship.
To be clear, have you got any of the numbers there, Leah? Because I know when I looked at them, it wasn't just most. It was like for a lot of those, it was like 95%, or something ridiculous. Yeah, huge amount.
94% of us navigated conversation options, so Rex the Krogan survived Vermeer. What else have we got? 96% of us saved Tali from the treason charge. Garrus is the most beloved companion.
I mean, is that
also
not his head I can see on your shirt right now? Yeah, I thought that was Big G Man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's also the most used squad mate, and he's the most party member most likely to survive Mass Effect 2's suicide mission. What else have we got?
Wow, we treat Garrus good.
I like how he is the character most likely to survive over Shepard.
I love that. I love that we love Garrus so much. Everybody loves the G-Man.
What's it? So we've got 96% of us cured the genophage in Mass Effect 3. And what was it? It was that's different from when it was the first time. 8% more of us the first time double-crossed genophage and like put the thing in it that made it not work. So less people did that this time, which I'm going to go with is an evolution of the human species, and we're nicer people than we were then.
I'm also going to put it down to the last year when we've seen what diseases can do, and we're like, nah, bitch is getting fucking stopped.
Yeah. I also think these numbers are interesting because I reckon it speaks to who's buying the Legendary Edition. I think it's existing fans who have beaten the game before as the majority, and therefore know to optimize playthroughs, and that's why these numbers are even more resounding than they were when the original trilogy came out. So I think these numbers are really interesting in that regard. I love a bit of data, and if you're wondering why we're spending so much time on Mass Effect statistics like this, it's because if you weren't aware, we did a special series of 3 episodes tearing down and looking in deeply into each game over the space of like 2 weeks when it came out. So please go back and check them out in the feed. Rob especially nearly killed himself to do that. So, yeah.
3 epics in 3 weeks is a new one for me, but I had the time of my life doing it.
Brilliant. I'm so glad. And Cameron, obviously, in his hurrah from the podcast as well. So, please go back and check those out. I might, if I remember, I'll put a link to them in the show notes, at least to the first one. But yeah, love it. More Mass Effect. Bring it on.
I'm feeling they need to do another playthrough.
Again, already, I love it. Like, that's insane.
Not even 6 months.
That's insane. Well, you know what, we've not done Andromeda. So if we're going to do one, we all need to do Andromeda. Like, that's, I think, what needs to happen, isn't it?
I think Rob might need a little bit more time.
I need a bit more time.
A little bit more time.
Okay. A year or so,
Right. Okay. Okay, should we move on now to the sort of more discussion-y bit? So something kind of completely caught me out like this week. I didn't know about this at all, which is annoying because I'm a huge fan of these guys' work. So Annapurna did a showcase. So Annapurna is like the how would I describe them? The indie publisher of note. They're up there with the Devolvers and the Tiny Builds, and these guys find usually very evocative, very narrative-driven indie games that always stand out. Like, to me, like they've done subsequent publishing things like with What Remains of Edith Finch and Gone Home and stuff like. Some of my favorite games of all time have come out of these guys. So the fact that they did basically an E3 style showcase out of nowhere last week, and I was like, what is this? Oh my god. I got very excited. I've watched the whole thing, and now I need to try and convince Rob to care about any of these games. There's not a lot of shooting in
one game, and you know the game I care about.
Yeah, well, we all care about that game, but we'll get there. But I want to do kind of a rundown a bit of what they showed. But before, Leah, I know you watched the presentation, didn't you? The whole thing. So there's the thing here that's not shown in the rundown because it wasn't a trailer, which was I think it was Ivory Lake. What are they called? Something like that, aren't they? So basically the creators behind Gone Home and the creator behind behind Stanley Parable have created their own studio, and they're going to be making a game, and they didn't even announce or show the game. They just said, we're making this game. And the fact that this is the people behind Gone Home and Stanley Parable is like, oh yeah, only some of the best indie experiences ever made. Like, bring it on. I want to see what that's going to be.
I love the madness of the way they did it as well. I was like, hi, we're just telling you we exist. We can't tell you what we're doing or anything. We're just going to sit here and drink some tea and stuff tea bags into a teapot.
Yeah, it was really weird. And it was like very strange and kooky, but also quite endearing. But anyway, let's talk about the game. So the first one up for me was the Artful Escape, which is this sort of music-driven. I don't really know exactly what this game is. It's going to be obviously heavy narrative, platforming, but also like I think maybe some rhythm stuff and music stuff. But the big announcement was that they've gone out and got like a crap ton of known voice actors to do, like, no, not voice actors, but actors. So Lena Headey's going to be in this. Carl Weathers is going to be in this. So like people that you go, oh. And then my only concern is when I see stuff like that sometimes is this just stunt casting? Like, are you just, because to a degree, putting those names on the project will mean more people are interested and check it out and therefore purchase it. So it's like, is it actually creatively required or even beneficial to the game? So I don't know about that, but I think this game is looking more and more interesting each time I see it. It looks vibrant, it looks different, it looks bizarre and weird and trippy, and yeah, I'm up for that. What did you think of that one?
Well, I think I have a general Annapurna thing. Is they all look really cool, but it's like they're too cool for me. It's like they're the cool kid in school, and I'm not. And I think, wow, I really admire you, but you're just too cool for me. And especially this one. This is what I thought. I'm just like, you look really cool and really trippy, but I don't really want anything to do with you.
It's like you're trying too hard to be different. Yeah. Like that person that spends 2 hours making it look like they've not done their hair.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I sort of see I do see where you're coming from, because Annapurna is definitely that. They are definitely like the cool, arty, creative type. But they also do put out really, really good games. So it's like,
and some of them I'm sure I'll love. It's just they're over there doing their cool thing, and sometimes I just want something that I know I'm going to enjoy, and I'm not going to have to sit there and go, this is so, amazing. My life has changed with watching it. Sometimes I just want to enjoy and play a good video game.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
You don't necessarily want something thought-provoking and profound. You just want pretty pixels doing fun stuff. Because I know that's half the time why I play games. It's to make nice pixels do nice things.
Shooty, bang, bang. Shooty, bang, bang. So talking about shooty, bang, bang, the next one was weird. Right, so the developer behind Donut County has gone for a single-player speedrunning FPS where you sacrifice guns for parkour moves. That's the next game after Donut County. I couldn't really... I mean, this is the thing that's cool about indie devs, right? That they don't have to make sequels and iterate on the same thing. They can just be like, do something different. I can do what I want.
I don't know why they've chosen to do that.
Yep, okay. However, we all wish Rob would do something different, but he sticks to the puns. This game, though, Neon White, I don't know. This isn't my kind of game, like speedrunning, that kind of, focus on, getting through a level as quickly as possible. It's not exactly what brings me to gaming, but the fact that it's so different and it looks pretty cool and it seems to run nice does interest me to a degree, but I'll wait. I'll wait and see on that one, I think.
Why do they have animal masks?
Because they're like demons. They're like heaven demons.
Heaven demons.
Well, it's set in heaven, but they look like demons. I don't know. Indie, Rob. Cool and artsy shit. Fuck, I don't know. What do you want from me?
Did they murder the animals to take their faces? I mean, what's going on? Why?
I don't know. And then we got... I think the next one that stood out to me that was interesting was Storyteller. Now, you liked the look of this one, didn't you, Leah? You mentioned it to me.
It looked cool and cute and kooky in an accessible way.
So what was the kind of... How would you describe the concept?
It's kind of like you get the theme or the title of a story, and then you get some like tragedy or love or little cards that you put on the screen, and you get characters, and you're kind of, you can do what you want, but it has to fit the title that they've given you. So like a tragedy, and then you've got like lovers and stuff, and you can make it, oh look, the lovers have a happy ending. That's not the title of the thing you're supposed to be creating, so you have to like mix it around and stuff, and it looks really cute and fun.
Yeah, the kind of like making your own stories, but within a framework. Hence storyteller, I suspect. But yeah, that looked cool. We got some more footage for Solar Ash, which is the new game from the Hyperlight Drifter team, and that still looks like really vibrant and intense combat and precision platforming type stuff, which we would expect from the Hyperlight Drifter guys. But that's not new. Now, one of the big reveals here, one of the huge things was the guys came out from Outer Wilds. And they first of all they announced it's coming to Nintendo Switch, which is like whatever, they're porting it, makes sense, very popular. I mean, by the way, if you don't know, Outer Wilds was kind of like everyone's favorite game from 2 years ago. I know it was high on our Game of the Year list here. Richard's an absolute big fan. I think it's really interesting. It's one of those games that when you look at what they do in this game and the story and stuff and the way that it's interactive, you couldn't do this, which is what I love. You couldn't do what you do in Outer Wilds in any other medium. You couldn't do it in film, in books, in comics, anything else. This type of experience could only exist as a video game, and I think that's why it was so impeccable what they did with it. And now they've kind of come out of nowhere and announced that they're going to do like an expansion for it, the one and only expansion called Echoes of the Eye. And I can't wait to see how they insert an expansion into Outer Wilds, because that game is very finite. So I do not know how they're going to do that, but I am intrigued to find out. And the trailer was mysterious and evocative and looked interesting and stuff. I'm trying to talk about Outer Wilds without spoiling the concept of it, by the way, but there you go. So if you've not played it, what I'm saying will mean little to you.
They were mysterious and kooky on purpose, and then like there was this long pause that was on the verge of being really awkward, but then they stopped in time, which was good. Yeah. Did you guys play Outer Wilds?
Not a minute.
It's very good, Rob.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone who's played it doesn't come away without a sense of WTF, and also holy crap, that's creative and clever what they've done there. It's very hard to talk about without spoiling, but it's very, very good. If you haven't checked it out, I do recommend it. Sadly, it was in Game Pass. It's just left. Otherwise, I would have recommended checking it out that way. But it's just left Game Pass now. But it's worth buying. It's not a full price game. It's like 20 quid. It's incredibly good. Then we moved on to Stray. So Stray looks insane. So a cat from, I think, our world falls through and gets lost in a weird other world full of sentient robot people. And it's about being a cat, and you are a cat, and you have to survive and interact with people, robots, I guess. And I guess try and find your way out. Arthur could star in this game, I feel. Arthur would be good, which is with Rob right now. So I feel like we're talking about cats at the right time. But what did you guys think of this?
It's adorable. But I might be slightly too traumatized playing it, because if anything bad happens to the kitty, I'm going to be in bits on the floor.
I mean,
what Leia said, but with a cat in the way.
I mean, I think the kitty is going to be in lots of peril, but you have to be good with your kitty and save your kitty from the weird little head crab creatures that seem to want to eat it at times in this trailer. And then do lots of platforming and then kitty stuff like rubbing up against the legs of a sad looking robot person and making them happy. That looked cute.
And the kitty gets a little robot companion, which was adorable as well. The B12 or something like that.
Yeah, like a little droid almost like a Star Wars thing, and that helps him interact with the environment.
Does it need some vitamins? Vitamin B12.
Yeah.
All right, Grandad, have you taken your pills?
I don't know. Have you?
Oh. The weird thing is, this isn't the only cat-focused game at Annapurna. Did you see the trailer for Skin Deep, in which you play like a robot, defensive measure to stop pirates invading a ship that is being piloted by cat people? So you're there to protect the cat people in that. Cats are hot right now at Annapurna.
That's a cat people game, not a cat game. There's a difference.
I don't think they're super different. I think they're basically cats, but they're evolved cats. I don't think they were quite Khajiit level, for example. So I think we're still in cat territory. But no, that looked good as well. That looked really good actually. That kind of like lots of different ways of approaching different hazards and enemies and stuff, and like facing down the threats that are in front of you, and also looked like it had a good sense of humor and a fun tone to it. And I'm up for that. Skin Deep, that looks good. I also want to point out like Stray, PS4, PS5, and PC. So better play on PC then. I'm so glad I have a good PC now. But like I really want to play the game. It doesn't sound like a lot of the Annapurna. I get the impression Annapurna are in tight with Sony and not Xbox. I think most of these games are not coming to Xbox.
Now.
Yeah, at least they'll have some kind of delayed release on them and stuff like that,
This
which
is
is
where
a shame.
Phil Spencer is just working down a list, and Annapurna's just a few spots down for a cash offer.
Yeah. So, you still want to be independent? I can sort you out. But yeah, that Skin Deep looked good as well. Obviously, like we talked about, and then yeah, Stray, Skin Deep, Outer Wilds expansion. Those were the big ones for me. I'm like, some good stuff here at this show. I just thought it was just so funny how it was like, surprise, here's an E3 style presentation. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I thought we'd been done.
A woman with amazing hair.
I had a feeling when I saw that video, I was like, I bet Leia likes the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
she did
shout
have
out
good
to,
hair.
I can't remember the lady's name, but oh my god, your hair is amazing.
Well, I'll send her an email. We'll see if we can find her contact details. I'm sure she's on Twitter. But yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed that. I liked that they're showing off some stuff. I like the fact that it drew attention to how diverse their teams were all over the world. Something like Prime Matter had also done. And bring it on. Stray especially. Now it's not 2022 though on Stray, so it's a little way off. But I think Skin Deep is a bit sooner than that, so I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. And Storyteller looked good. Storyteller's got a demo out on Steam as well right now, which I'm going to check out and maybe report back on. But yeah, I think that takes us to the end of the Annapurna catch-up. I think we're going to move to Rob for advances in technology.
Advances is one word, I guess. So on Thursday, Arthur has already had enough of this talk. He's an Xbox kitty at heart. So on Thursday, we had an article released on Sony's website talking about how to finally do expandable storage on the PlayStation 5 and the several degrees and qualifications you need in order to enable it.
But why, Rob? What do you mean?
So, why thank you. So they have very, very specific requirements for the type of drive that you put in. That's fair enough. But they go into very specifics on the dimensions of the drive, like the size of it. You have to manually attach a heatsink to this drive. I have the same sort of hard drive on the PC that I'm recording this podcast on now. Ben probably does as well. And neither of us have heatsinks attached to the drives, because you don't need it typically, because they don't tend to get really hot. But with a PlayStation 5, you need to manually attach a heat.
So, do you think the implication there is that they're anticipating it running really hot?
I don't know, in all honesty. The temperature of a hard drive is very rarely taken into account. M.2 NVMe drives, which is the sort of drive that you need, is starting to become much more common. It's a very powerful drive, it is very speedy, and it does stuff very quickly, which you need in order to transmit the information for the modern gen games at a suitable enough speed. So that being the drive makes complete sense. There only being certain dimensions that it fits, again, makes complete sense. But you're getting further and further away from a console experience and into a PC gaming experience here, because with consoles, the big thing is that you just buy a box, you put box on side, you press power button, and you play a game. A computer has that flexibility where you can look at different parts, you can get different things, you can customize it, you can change it. You know, this is very far away. You have to dismantle half the console on the PlayStation 5 to get to the slot for this, of which they released a infographic that makes IKEA instructions look detailed about how to do this. It's just not good. It really isn't.
I think it's interesting because for about, I guess, 3 generations now, Xbox has been ahead of PlayStation when it comes to this. I mean, if you think back to the 360 with those hard drives, how they would just boop, off the top, boop, put another one on, switch them around, and then even when that
USB slot plug.
Well, no, I mean
done.
that came later, but I'm talking about on the 360. So you just you just flip them on, put them on the top. They had a quick release button. They had none of that on the PlayStation. You had to do like you said, crack open the case and mess around internally and all that stuff. And then as that generation moved on, it became a little bit different. So the Xbox then made those drives internal rather than just sat on the top. So then there'd be a little slot, and it would have a little pull tab, and you'd pop, and then you'd pop another one in. Pop, and it was super, super easy. And then, like you said, we moved to the Xbox One, and then straight out of the gate, it was, I don't know if it was straight out of the gate, but it was very quickly, USB drive supported. Again, PlayStation 4 way behind. There was a good another year, 2 years before they supported the drive, so it was a really long time. And now we're looking at this, where, things are difficult, right? Let's be honest, both of these consoles have come out with too little internal storage. It's kind of a joke. And the PlayStation one's even worse. It's like 600 and a bit gigs of usable space, right? Compared to the 800 and a bit usable on the Xboxes. But even then, it's too low, so we needed a solution. And Xbox's one was basically, here's a memory card that you can pop in. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's proprietary for the time being, though I think that's an exclusivity deal that is going to run out. But yes, it is pricey, $220, but I've seen them for a lot for about $180 now. The price has started to float down a bit on Amazon and things like that as the generation warms up and people are buying more of them. The price is coming down a bit, but I don't know. These NVMe 2 drives, I was looking, right, so there was quite a few stories around this. Like, here, this is the one I would recommend. This is the one we'd recommend at this site. Check this one out. This has the right dimensions. Even this one comes with the heatsink that would fit. You won't have to mess around with this. But they're all about $200. Like, they are comparable pricing to that memory card. So considering the convenience of that memory card, i.e. you put it in and it works and you don't have to unscrew things and have a degree in electrical engineering or computing, I think the winner is on the Xbox on this one. Even though when it all first came out, we were all like, this is bullshit, I can't believe we've got to spend all this money, and grumble. It's gonna be so much better when PlayStation sort it. And it's like, no, it's really confusing. It's really, really confusing.
The article sums it up wonderfully. It has probably about maybe 1,000 words talking about how to do it on the PlayStation 5, and they have a literal 1 to maybe 20-word sentence that explains how to do it on the Xbox. Literally, you buy this and put it in a slot.
I mean, my Xbox is right here above me, and I could easily just reach in. I've got one of the cards in here right now and just go, there you go. I could put that in my other Xbox. That's which is what I do. I have I've got 1 terabyte of games on there that I move between the consoles. If I'm playing on my living room or playing them on my office, and that way I can spread that storage. I am considering another one of the drives, I'm not going to lie. However, it's still preferable. I mean, you won't be doing that with a PlayStation. If you had 2 PlayStations, you're not going to be moving the NVMe drive, are you? Once that's in, that mother trucker's in. So one question for you, what capacities does it support?
It supports, they did detail this in the article.
I want to say I've got a number 250 to 4 terabyte, but I might be wrong.
Exactly correct, yes.
Cool. I mean, that's
250 gigs to 4 terabytes.
So that's the benefit.
Is a huge range.
That's the benefit, though, isn't it? Right. So that means we're limited to 1 terabyte now on these cards for Xbox. So the benefit here is that you could go all the way up to buying a 4 terabyte NVMe drive. Christ knows how expensive that would be.
That was what I was going to point out. That comes pricey.
It's got to be 500, isn't it? 600. I mean, I'm just guessing, but knowing how much a terabyte is, how much is a 4 terabyte? Specific dimensions of with heatsink this wide.
You're not far off with the 500 mark. I've got prices here between 369 to 500.
Yeah, and that's
is the easiest, quickest Google search. So not exactly dense market research.
And that's not taking into account all the dimension specificity, so that might limit your selection considerably, and therefore, and now, if those drive manufacturers are going to know, right, we fit in the PlayStation, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing prices go up a bit. Yeah. I mean, it seems...
Because demand for them will be there.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that, they're having this flexibility and they have that up to 4 terabyte space, that's great. Having that customizability is great. But if you want a truly customizable gaming experience, buy a gaming PC. Do not buy a console. If you want something that just sits on the side, you plug it in and you go, buy a console. They're vastly different markets. Even as PC-ified that consoles are getting now with so many different graphics options and all that sort of stuff, it's still, if you want a fully modular experience, just buy a PC. Yeah.
Well, once you buy your PlayStation 5 now, right, and then you add in the price of that 4 terabyte NVMe drive, you've basically paid for a gaming PC.
Exactly.
So you might as well buy one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then 70 quid for each game on PS5 is a lot more than probably at the most 50 quid for a PC game as well.
Anything on Steam.
Yeah, it's yeah. Right, so we'll keep an eye on that because it's still a bit like. So by the way, this is only supported right now for those running the beta of the new firmware, so it's not a wide release yet, but we'll keep an eye on the news. I'm sure there'll be reports of PlayStation's getting bricked when people F around with this thing, so
I'm waiting for people to break their PlayStations doing this and get angry at Sony, and you can be damn sure that Sony is not going to replace anything.
Yeah, they're more likely to pull a thing from its storefront than actually help them out. So, hello, Cyberpunk. Right, gotta get it in. Gotta get a Cyberpunk mention in. Just a quick one. Got to be done.
It's like a knife in the ribs.
So we've got a big story coming up now. We did talk about this last week, me, Rob, and Richard. However, as the week has progressed, it's far from calmed down. If anything, things have escalated considerably. And I'm going to pass over to Leo, who's going to take the lead on this one. So talk to us about Activision Blizzard.
Right. Bear with. Got a notepad. This madness. So we know from what you guys discussed last time that on the 20th of July there was a lawsuit by the state of California against Activision/Blizzard, basically going, yeah, loads of sexual harassment and everything's going on. And they went, no, might have been a little while ago, but no. I mean, you've got Fran Townsend, one of the people who works at Activision Blizzard, sent an email going, the lawsuit presented a distorted and untrue picture of our company. Yeah. And it just gets worse, to be honest. You've got, on the 27th, the CEO, Bobby Kotick, says that Activision's initial response, which was this email with this lady, Fran, was tone deaf. But it gets worse. I get upset about these things because it's sexual harassment or harassment in the video games industry, and it doesn't surprise me, but it shouldn't, because it just seems to be what happens when you get really powerful companies and people who think, oh my god, there's creators that are so good and so brilliant, so we mustn't upset them. They can do anything they want. I don't know if you guys feel any different than I do, but it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there's more stuff that's come out. So, I mean, there's stories of a security researcher who was asked by people who were recruiting for Blizzard whether she enjoyed penetration and if she liked being penetrated a lot and stuff like that.
Because she was applying for a penetration testing role to do with security. Yeah. What fun, clever puns.
So the 15-year-old naturally conducting the interview, so I could say that.
I think that's unfair on 15-year-olds, Rob.
Usually they have a higher class of humour,
Yeah, I mean, fuck me.
I mean, and the thing is about this poor lady, she actually became a COO of a cybersecurity company, and then 5 years later, Blizzard approached this company and said, "Oh yeah, can we work with you?" And the CEO of this company, love him, went, "Yeah, we're going to charge you a 50% basically levy, and we're going to donate that to women's shelters because of what you did to our COO." And Blizzard went, "No, we weren't going to work with you now."
Yeah, they gave him like a list of demands, didn't they? Almost like, if you want to work with us, you have to adhere to all of these different caveats, and they just walked away. And it's just like, well, that says a lot doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
I love that that's the route they took.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
yeah, that company, yes, but not Blizzard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh god, no, Blizzard, fucking garbage fire.
Oh my god.
The fact that they clearly the COO told the CEO, and they're like, right, well, we're gonna make this difficult now.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that's wonderful, poetic justice.
Can you
consequences.
Leah, can you tell us a bit more about the signed letter with now over like 2,000 odd signatures from current and former Blizzard employees, and also about the organised walkout? I'd like to know a bit more.
So you've got the basically after the letter from this Fran Townsend on the email, the Blizzard employees and the tone deaf thing from their CEO, the Blizzard employees kind of got together and started writing an open letter to their management and saying, this is not good enough. We want an end to, was it arbitration or mandatory arbitration in things? We want, transparent pay scales. We want a more diverse hiring strategy. All the things that generally decent companies already offer. I have to stress this. Decent people already do this. You shouldn't have to ask for this.
I think the forced arbitration thing is insane because it's a very much an American thing. I don't think you'd ever see it in the UK. I don't know, but I've never come across it personally. But this is the idea that if you have a grievance, you have to go through this internal process rather than going external, rather than involving lawyers, rather than taking complaint to, say, a union or a rep or something like that. You have to do it internally. And if you don't, you're in breach of contract and can be dismissed. So it's basically a saying, you got to keep this in-house, and if you don't, you're going to lose your job. So you have to wonder how many people have been dismissed because they weren't happy with that process. It's probably a pretty large amount, I would suspect.
So they said all this in this letter, and then they said, we're going to stage a walkout, which they did, and I don't want to give any credit to Blizzard, but they did say, okay, you're doing this, we're still going to pay you. Oh, yay, well done.
Oh, God, so magnanimous.
Yeah,
Oh.
We're not going to fire any of you.
Oh, what amazing people.
They're kind of boxed into that corner because I think the majority of Blizzard members of staff walked out. If they had,
Yeah.
I think it's
sacked our entire company.
I think at this point, the amount of scrutiny, right? Every not just video game reporter like the Patrick Klepeks at Waypoint, not just that in the Jason Schreier's, not just those guys, but like CNN, BBC, right? They are now watching everything so closely. If anybody had got fired, could have a walkout. I mean, I already by all means, Leah, carry on. But I think this could be the end of Activision Blizzard. But
and to be honest,
continue.
I hope it is, because they don't fucking deserve it. Anything. I mean, and I keep trying to find, as is I think my nature, good things that I can pick out of this, and food companies that normally deliver food to Blizzard, everything. Came along to this walkout and made sure that everyone had enough to eat. Another person bought their dog, so if someone needed like a timeout and like to pet a dog, that was there. People made sure that they were all right when they were doing this.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I'm sorry, I don't understand how thick people can be, and just it absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think honestly that is what has happened. And they're just so out of touch with reality. They haven't got a fucking clue what's going on. It boggles the mind.
I think they know exactly what's going on because they have fostered and they have enabled and they have supported this behavior. And it's not just one or two bad managers. That's the problem here, because you look at the Ubisoft situation, right? And they have now done a lot to excise a lot of one of those bad managers. And I think they are moving forward, though there is another story about how the employees don't think enough has been done yet. But I don't think it's a systemic issue on the same level as we're seeing here at Blizzard and Activision, not based on what the reports that have coming out. Now, I think the problem is that this is systemic. It means that it's a situation, if you're a man coming into this company and you're not a bad guy, but if you don't fit in, if you don't change to match the culture, you'll be out the door, because there was plenty of reports of people, males, resisting this as well, who were treated poorly and have therefore subsequently left the business. So that means those that are left are all willing to either ignore it or support it. This frat boy, which I think, to be honest, doesn't convey the seriousness, calling it frat boy. It's a little bit dismissive, that terminology. But it seems to me like the problem is the whole of it is rotten. Like, how do you... Now, the last thing you want is for this company to go under, and all these good people as well, to lose their jobs, because that's what could happen, right? So we don't want that. But at the same time, how on earth... I mean, the whole management system needs to go. Bobby Kotick down to pretty much every manager probably needs to be out. Every HR operative needs to go, because there is a massive problem here. And it's so systemic that you've got to rip everything out. So how on earth do you rebuild a company from that? How do they rebuild their reputation from this? You know, it's a really bad situation.
Is that they have millions of people online in their communities that they have created and fostered with these supposed virtues that still depend on WoW for socialization and speaking to people. And if that game gets turned off like that, that could be immensely damaging to a huge community of people. They need to keep that game ticking over in some way. So I'm not sure this will be the end of Activision Blizzard. I think this will be the end of many people's careers.
It's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, Leah, can you talk to us a bit about the lawyers they have hired to defend themselves? Because this is gross.
So they've drafted in... What was that, sorry?
I don't like this already.
They've drafted in Wilmer Hale. And this is to look at all their employee laws and everything like that. This is a company that is hired by Amazon to keep them from unionizing.
Yeah, go on though. If you go, how deeply did you dig into the history?
I got disgusted at that point, to be honest.
So it's a conglomeration of two big, humongously powerful firms, right? William and Hale, right? They came together about 10 years ago. Prior to that, I forget which one of it was, but separately, they're the guys that defended Nixon during his impeachment. It's like these guys basically go to defend money and authority figures who have obviously done wrong, and yet somehow always find a way to get them off. Right? These are kind of like, if you want to think of, Devil's Advocate, the film, scumbag lawyers that are run by the devil. This is what it's based on. These kinds of firms, right? These people that put money and power above people every single time, right? And that's who they hired. Now, if you ever think for a second that Bobby Kotick is a human being, this is what should tell you he is not. He is just a thing that wants more money and power and wants to do whatever he can to continue to accrue it. It's grim, guys. It's so grim that these are the people they went for. Oh.
The board just approved his pay packet of $155 million.
Take it, split it between the employees who have been harassed. Every penny.
Yes. All the board, not just him.
Not enough. Yeah.
But the money for that they should all forego their salaries for a year. Trust me, they could easily handle that. They'll be fine. But they put it into a pot and give it to the family of the woman who killed herself. Give it to all those people that had to quit their jobs, who left the video game industry disgusted, appalled, and sick of the harassment and the abuse they received. Men and women. You name it. Those are the people, right, that deserve some compensation. And I'm just worried that when you see that they're getting lawyers like this involved, I'm not sure. The state of California doesn't have the resources, it's crazy to say, but they will not have the almost infinite amount of money to throw behind this case, because at some point it would become unviable for them, right? So it's the same reason when you look at the problems around, when they were dealing with the tobacco lobbyists, right, in the US as well. It's the same thing. There's so much capital, so many resources, that when it actually comes to being fought by a political entity, they have a fraction of the money, a tiny fraction of the money to put behind these kind of campaigns. So yeah, I'm very concerned that nothing will happen. The only thing that will make anything happen is public outcry, and it will be because they start losing money from sales and their reputation gets damaged and stuff. That's the only thing that will actually make them change.
Their share price has gone down by 9%.
That's not enough.
No, it's not.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. It needs to go down by 50% before they even pay attention, probably. It's God, it makes like you, Leo, it makes me very angry, and me and Rob, we don't work in a comparably sized software company, but we work in software, we work in tech, right? And you can see how it can be done right, and it's not hard to do it right, and it's just like
no company is perfect.
No,
like everyone has problems
not.
at work, but our problems at work are because of shifting deadlines and office disagreements about things that are done, not because of harassment, not because of victimization, and not because of disgusting behavior.
I just think it's because it's systemic, and that's the problem. When everyone is okay with it, or at least turns a blind eye to it, like when I say everyone, the majority, then you don't see a problem, do you? Right? It's the fact in most good companies, and most companies are good, you see a problem like this, you'll step up, you'll support that person, and you'll get that problem resolved and dealt with properly, and the perpetrator of it will be dealt with. Be it if it's low level training and education. If it's serious, then goodbye. And it's like the problem is they've accepted this as video games. Boys will be boys. It's just,
no, I'm sorry.
Wow.
There's I
Cosby Sweet anyone? Cosby Sweet anyone?
That is such a shitty justification. I agree.
Yeah.
Did you read the Cosby Sweet stuff?
That's just ridiculous.
Let's get them drunk. The jokes about how many of them are your wives? You can't have them all be your wife. Oh, it's all right. We'll get them back to this week. We'll get them hammered, and then we'll see what happens. Just literally like the most disgusting predatory behaviour. Like, oh my god.
Cubicle crawling, as opposed to curb crawling. So basically, we'll get drunk and we'll go through all the cubicles and see who we can harass and grope on the way. There was no locks on the rooms for breastfeeding, so dudes just used to walk in and watch women, pumping milk or whatnot.
I just, makes you feel shamed.
A comment about the cubicle crawling. I saw someone from a different office, different company, reference something they did at their company, which they had the same name as cubicle crawling, and the difference with them was that they had all these office cubicles, but they had quite a multicultural office space. So they would have these Fridays where people would either make something or bring some sort of food in from their cultural background, or they decorate their cubicles, and people would go round and see them and go, oh, that's really awesome, that's really lovely. That's the only positive justification of that. But when you have that happening in the same name, what that person then must see and think and be uncomfortable with them, what they are doing because it's the same name, it concerns me.
I don't know how, that's the thing, I don't know how they recover.
I don't either.
If they actually want to make change, if something actually happens and maybe California wins or whatever, but how on earth do you come back from this? They're so big, and it's so systemic, and every day there's been another story this week, or multiples, every single day, because I didn't intend to cycle back to this week, right? I thought it'd be a while, the proceedings would continue with the legal stuff, and we'd find out a bit more as time went on. But a week later, it's just been a deluge. There's just been more and more and more. I've got in my show notes, we have about a dozen separate articles talking about this, just from this week, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down. It's upsetting. It's disappointing. It makes me ashamed to be a fan of video games. It's that, I've loved Diablo, I loved StarCraft. I'm not a big WoW player, but, and then you look at the wider Activision, Call of Duties and all of that, and it's just like, they're too big to fail? ? Like, god damn.
I think
one thing I just wanted to reiterate is Blizzard's core values.
Oh no, this will be good.
oh god.
Right. Gameplay first, commit to quality, play nice, play fair. Yeah, I don't think we're doing that. Embrace your inner geek. Every voice matters.
As long as you're a white cis male who wants to victimize other people.
Yeah. Learn and grow. Think globally. And this is the one. Lead responsibly.
Wow.
I'm just going to go fuck you, Blizzard. Fuck you. Not buying another one of your games ever.
That's gross.
Just not doing it.
That is gross. That is gross.
Circling back to the floodgates, I think this is why it's important that people stand up and speak out. Because I think this is why we've had so many things come out of the woodwork and so many people say so many things, because one person stood up and said something, and that started the investigation. This is what happens when people share their stories.
Yeah,
and anyone who is doing or having this sort of thing done to them should stand up and say something, because other people will join you and your voices will not be drowned out.
Yeah, I think the world has changed a little in the last 10 years in regards to this. I think, especially if a woman comes out and says something like that, you will be listened to, that you will have people at your back who will step up with you. And I hope this gives them a little more confidence to do that. Yeah, well said, Rob. Absolutely. It shouldn't be tolerated anywhere.
No.
And when it's as bad as this, my word. Oh, my word. Wow. Right. So, I mean, I just want to mention at the end there that Ubisoft's employees have also signed an open letter this week slamming management's empty promises following last year's toxic work culture allegations. Ubisoft have their own issues around this. It's been going on for a while now. Whether or not they're doing what they're saying they're doing, I don't know. I don't work there, but you know, the reports were different. It wasn't as severe. However, it's still very real, and this seems like, you know, we've got two of the biggest players in this space. How many more? How many more is the question. Yeah, sort your shit out. Seriously, gaming, sort it out. It's wrong. Rob, you added a little a story at the end of this. I don't know when you added that, but I only just spotted it. But by all means, let's end on a positive if we can. On the
it was whilst Arthur. This is why it's poorly formatted in the show notes. I'm sure you'll be able to sort it out. I had Arthur on me at the time. I was like, it's trying to reach. So last Friday, Friday morning for us. It's about 11 o'clock at night for us on Thursday night, so Friday morning. Bungie released their weekly article, their Bungie weekly blog, this week at Bungie, and they have started talking about crossplay and what crossplay is going to look like in Season 15. Which this is their proper formal confirmation that, you know, this is happening, this is how it's going to work. So, at the beginning of Season 15, everybody's names are going to be changed. So, for example, my tag on Destiny is Homeless Mr. Gibbs. Unsurprisingly, it's my online persona, it's where I am. I will have 4 numbers added after my name.
Discord style, right. Discord
style, indeed. They're doing a pass on everybody's names to make sure there are no discriminatory, derogatory terms, or there aren't any forbidden symbols. Like sometimes on the Steam Destiny, you can see symbols in names as well. There'll be like auto rifle symbols and stuff. They can't have that on the console layout on consoles. It just won't function. So they have to filter those out. If your name does have one of those symbols, you'll be changed to Guardian, and then you will have 4 numbers after your name. So Guardian 1, 2, 3, 4, for example.
I guess, and you're going to get the option to change after that?
That will come in the winter. So that is not going to be live at launch.
Oh, wow, there's going to be a bunch of pissed off people. Wow. Yes. Okay.
But they're announcing this a good 23 days before the next season comes out.
Heads up, you're going to be pissed.
They're saying, you know, if you have one of these
change
names,
it now.
you can sort it.
Yeah,
change
I see
it
what you're
now,
saying. Right.
And it will be fine.
Gotcha.
So it will be like player name, #1234. So Homeless Mr. Gibbs, #1234 will be my numbers. Will be my name structure anyway. And then they have included some screenshots. I'll include, or ask Ben to include in the show notes, the link to the article where they go through all this in more information, because they've got screenshots of what the notifications will look like, because it will show you different people and so on through your roster screen and that sort of thing. With matchmaking, with crossplay, because PC players and console players do have different advantages. If you're on PC in non-competitive playlists, so the Strike playlist or normal Crucible, you will be matched against people on your sort of general umbrella. So PC players, we match with PC players. Console players, we match with console players. Stadia is counted as a console in this, by the way, because the 4 people that were still playing on Stadia didn't want to be in the PC pool. Then, if, say, I'm playing on my PC and Ben's playing on his Xbox and we want to play together, it would then go into a PC matchmaking selection. That's then where it moves over onto the PC section rather than the console section. But you have the ability to join wherever you want at any time.
I'm so excited because we've got a bunch of friends across multiple platforms playing this game, and it's gonna. So, can Xbox play with PlayStation?
Yes.
I wasn't sure because sometimes there's weirdness about that. Yeah, I know what you mean, but sometimes there's weirdness about. When you see crossplay like stuff, and it's like, oh right, Xbox can play with PC, PlayStation can play with PC. But Xbox and PlayStation can't play together, and it's like because Sony are dicks, it would seem. But Bungie are getting around this
console umbrella.
Brilliant.
But awesome. You have this system called Bungie Friends, rather than friends on your console. So that's how you're able to add people on PlayStation or on Steam, because it's a Bungie friend rather than your console friend.
Cool.
They've laid out a little roadmap, things we're getting. So early season 15, Bungie name Bungie Friends, cross-platform invites, multiplayer matchmaking, player search, and social privacy. Soon after launch, cross-platform voice chat. The internal voice chat in Destiny isn't great, so I'm intrigued to see what they do with this. In the winter, we're getting Bungie name changes, text chat display on consoles. I hope there's a toggle for that. And text input via USB keyboards on consoles as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's good that they're laying out a little roadmap to other sort of features.
Are they not just going to enable KBM on console then?
I'm not entirely sure.
I don't see why you go as far as KBM. Text input from keyboard and not just turn on KBM. It seems a bit weird.
They already have done.
I've never tried it with Destiny. I've never tried it on Xbox with Destiny, so.
As far as I'm seeing the last sentence here, the actual time date for this hasn't been announced yet. It's going to be in season 15. They say the team is working hard to dot the I's and cross the T's. Stay tuned and we'll let you know when the date is locked in. I imagine this will be reasonably quickly. Yeah. So I imagine that news will follow. The next few weeks as we lead up to a Bungie live event on the 24th of August, which is when the new season will begin, when Destiny 2 will be down for maintenance, they will be doing a live stream because this was when the next expansion was meant to launch. Mm-hmm. But obviously it's been delayed to next year. So they're doing a live stream, which will probably be a while, or be a live event of some description for us to then listen and do whilst the maintenance is being done.
That's
so
cool.
It's
all right.
It's going to be
and they're going to show stuff off. Yeah.
I assume so, yes. And we'll get trailers and stuff, and all the YouTubers will go mad and see everything, and 50,000 videos will be released in 20 minutes.
It's always exciting. So why don't you segue this into what you've been playing and tell us about your progress with Destiny, when you're at right now, because you've turned a corner. You've hit a milestone.
I have. So I've been working on this for a while, and it's mainly through the power of what's termed your seasonal artifact that I've got here. But I've managed to get to the special power number of 1,335, which means that I can play the last sort of power-gated PvE content, which is known as a Grandmaster Nightfall, or a GM for short. So it's essentially just a strike, and it changes or rotates weekly which one it is. And it functions exactly the same, but it has a list about this long of modifiers. So there'll be more champions, different types of champions. There'll be certain different elemental affinities. There'll be other different modifiers that may affect when you defeat certain enemies, stuff like that. And it makes for a very challenging experience. If you're under 1335, you can't even get in. You can't go into this activity. So I'm very lucky that the clan I'm in has a lot of people who like running GM Nightfalls. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing this afternoon.
You want to give a shout out to the clan?
Yes, they are... I forget their name because the Discord server is different. The Darkness Touched Me, I think.
There you go. That's the name.
There we go.
Yeah. Good bunch of guys.
So,
mostly
very
UK
good
based. Good guys.
Mhm.
Good guys.
So yeah, it's great fun. I'll be trying to do that this afternoon. I've played some Warhammer 40,000 BattleSector as well.
Ooh.
For review. Fucking hell, that game takes no prisoners. It's brutal, but it's great. It's one of the most faithful recreations of 40k strategy I've seen ever. And yeah, it's wonderful. I want to play more and lose because I will. A review will be upcoming for the channel about this, where I'll go into more detail. But yeah, this game is challenging. I'm probably going to have to go back and cycle to playing on easy.
Wow.
So yeah, to experience more.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, I know it's a Slytherin game, and those guys don't mess around. They're war gamers at heart. They make some really hardcore sim war games, and I can't say I'm surprised to hear it's kick your ass hard. I'm really not. I'm really not surprised. I am really, really, really excited about their Starship Troopers RTS that's coming out soon. I cannot wait to play that. But I was quite looking forward to this one as well. But I was like, Rob likes his Warhammers. Let's give Rob a Warhammers. But I'm looking forward to doing the review with you because I've got lots of questions. I really want to know all about this. So that'll be on the channel in the next week or so. Hopefully by the end of the week coming up. Yeah. So, yeah, I've also been busy with review games. But I got a nice variety here. I got 3 games I've been playing, and the big one, Chernobylite, was the one I expected to be putting all my time into, and I felt bad because I've actually just got addicted to Jupiter Hell, which is this sort of official, standing on its own 2 feet adaptation of Doom RL, which was Doom Roguelike, which came out as a free game that the same developer did. That was an homage to Doom, but with this roguelike, I should say, sorry, not light, wrapper. And so with Jupiter Hell, obviously to avoid lots of licensing issues and copyright claims, has its own name, though boy oh boy does it wear its Doom influences proudly like a flesh shroud. Like, honestly, it's like, I am inspired by Doom and I don't care who knows it. And I love that. And this is so my game. This is 100% Ben. It's like Hades but Doom. I mean, how could I not love this? But it's done in a way that it's turn-based, but it's so easy to understand. So basically the turns, if you move, the enemies move, right? Or if you take an action, the enemies take an action at the same time, right? So that could be reloading, it could be moving, it could be doing various things, taking a retreat, strategy, positioning yourself tactically, all kinds of things. And that will mean the enemies also take an action at the same time. So if you move quickly, for all intents and purposes, it's like real time. So, but you can also then just not move. And the control scheme is fantastically retro. There is no mouse input in this game anywhere. And the same thing, if you're using a controller, there's no analog stick input anywhere in this game. So it's all just keyboard and that's it. So everything is done with very digital specific movement commands. And I love that. It feels so retro, which makes so much sense for this 90s inspired roguelike shooter, and it's just great. And monster variety is massive. It's the environments are randomly generated and just so dripping in that Doom aesthetic of corridors, of darkness, of monsters coming out from all over the place. Great huge variety of weapons and perks and power-ups and armor. So there's loads of loot and loads of ways of customizing your character as you level up. You can assign skill points. It's there's a lot going on here, but it all kind of just works nicely together. And obviously, like any roguelike, the more you play it, the more familiar you get with the systems, and therefore the longer your runs will progress and the further into the depths of these Jupiter's moons you're going to be able to get to fight the hordes of monsters and hellspawn as you go. And of course, obviously the other obvious thing is there's permadeath involved here as well. So you die, you have to start the run again, and as you'd expect from this type of game. I'm loving it. It's so goddamn good. It's so good. So there's a preview video of that up right now on the channel if you want to see it in action. It's only 5 minutes long. The game is in early access right now, but it's getting full release in a week or so, early August. yeah, keep an eye out for this. If you're in the mood for some Doom and roguelike elements, like combined, mashed together, lots of violence and blowing up and guns and shit, it's a good time. It's a really good time. I will touch on the other games I've been playing. So the other one I didn't mention already, which was Dice Legacy, which is this colony/city builder that you don't really manage people, you use dice. So what that means is the dice have different symbols on them that represent the different things they can do, like build a building or gather a resource or something like that. And you have a selection of dice. You have up to like about a dozen, but you start with about 5 or 6. So obviously you are limited to what you can do with the dice based on what the dice's face side is that you can see, right? So you might get your dice roll, they all roll, and you see I've only got 5 scouting of an area dice. Not helpful if you need to do building or gathering resources. So there's this interesting kind of like randomized element to how this game plays. It's quite hard, this game, and again it's kind of run based, so you can fail and have to start again and go through it. At the moment it's in early access. There's not a lot of different leaders, there's not a lot of different like environments or stories. It's kind of just an example of the core game right now. They're obviously going to build it out a lot, but I like it. It's got a really nice look to it. The actual colony/world is on a ring world, so you kind of start at the bottom and then you'll progress up and over the ring as you explore more of the environment and sort of expand your area of influence. And you might find enemy encampments, you might find ruins to explore, you might find more resources to gather, all kinds of things. And your interaction with the game is with these dice that you then get the side you want, you place it on an area, and then over like so many seconds or minutes it will do that function, and then the dice will come back to you. You can't use it again. So there's a strategy involved with when do you want to roll the dice, because you click a roll button and it will roll them and give you new sides to choose from. However, you can do that when you've not got them all back in your hand. You could do that when some are out in play. You can generate more dice by like combining dice with food to create new dice. There's a lot of interestingly weird, unique-ish mechanics at play here. I've never played a game quite like this. I couldn't tell you right now whether or not I like this game or not, because it almost feels like there's a layer of unnecessary obfuscation going on with my interaction with what would be a quite basic colony builder game, but the dice certainly bring something different to the party, I will say that. But I'm going to play some more, and then I will put together a preview for that, and that will also be on the channel. And then the final game I really want to talk about is Chernobylite, which is a game that's out on PC right now, but I know it's coming to consoles in September. It looks incredible on PC. That's the first thing, right? On my machine with RTX on, HDR, this game is very, very pretty. So this game is set in and around Chernobyl and the exclusion zone. Real place in Russia, the Chernobyl disaster, where the reactor went and they had to evacuate, and obviously that was a huge thing in the 80s, and this is in that area, and it's about things to do with your missus, your fiance, I think, went missing, and you're going back to try and find her. So there is like a framing device here. There is a story, but really it's much more about the mixture of first-person shooter, survival crafting mechanics, and base building. And so you're doing all of this, and you're going out on like these missions in these different parts of the exclusion zone, usually with an objective in mind, i.e. I want to get these resources, or I want to interact with this person, or I want to recruit this person to my team. And then you're kind of building up your base and your abilities and your training in the goal of doing this heist mission, which is to like break into the reactor to try and find a way of getting your fiance back, because this resource that's been created due to the reactor issue, this Chernobylite, the game is named after this thing, has the ability to like open portals in reality where you can step through and actually interact with different moments in time. There's a lot going on here. And it's weird. And there's the Black Stalker character that's coming around and trying to mess you up. He's a bad guy, and he's like the boss character, kind of like Mr. X in the Resident Evil game, and he just shows up and he's like uber, and you have to like either run away from him or handle him in some way. But basically, yeah, it's all about getting yourself prepared so that you can go on this heist to save your lost love, but also with lots of survival, crafty, building, mission mechanics at play as well. There's quite a lot. It's quite a lot, but it's pretty unique. And the reason I was interested in this is because I'm very excited about playing Stalker 2 when that comes out. And this feels very much like this game wouldn't exist without Stalker in the Metro series. This is 100% part of that lineage of tough as nails, sort of Eastern European inspired gaming. And I love the fact that these games kind of deal with the fallout of the Soviet Union a lot, and there is a geopolitical vibe to games like this that you don't really see from Western games, and there is a kind of a dark, oppressive nature to the exclusion zone and to that area, because there's a lot of natural beauty, but there's always the threat of the radiation and the threat of different people there. The only thing I'd say I don't love about the world looks amazing. It just feels quite empty, which is weird because, as we know from documentaries about the exclusion zone and around Chernobyl, wildlife has really reclaimed that environment. Like, you know, the animals are out there, there's deer, there's creatures, you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on out there, which have adapted to the radiation, and some have mutated because of the radiation. So, but there's not really any of that in this. It's just human adversaries and NPCs, and there's also, in a kind of Resident Evil fashion, randomly you'll be walking around this desolate hotel. You know, it's all torn down. There's enemies over there. And you walk up in a door and they'll be like, "Hello, I'm a trader. What would you like to trade?" And you're like, "What? Why are you here? What?" And the first time
wares if you have coin.
Basically, the first time I saw him, I put 3 bullets in his head. I thought he was going to kill me. And you know, it didn't even notice. He just went bang, bang, bang. And he went, "Hello, would you like to buy things?" That I should mention.
I really hope that's an imitation of the actual voice.
I was going to say, I do want to mention the voice acting in this game is insane, and not in a good way. I would definitely recommend playing it Russian voice acting with subtitles, because the English voice acting is really strange. Like, all I can think of is they went, "We want regional accents to give variety to this game," and the people they cast, it's very peculiar. Like, really funny. Like, unintentionally funny.
I hope at one point there's just like the strong Liverpudlian, "Why, hey man, do you want some of this?" It's
kind of like that.
I don't know.
It's kind of like that. You'd expect everybody to be like, "Oh, I'm Raven. Exclude radiation." There's a, "Hello." And you're like, what? Like, "Hello, I'm a trader." It's like, what is going on? This is so weird. It doesn't help with the setting. I would say play it in Russian, and yeah, that would be my advice. But it is quite unique. I like building my base. I like going out, and for some reason building my base, mushrooms are really important. I don't know why, but when I wanted to build a mattress, like for one of my team to sleep on at night, because I've got my own nice room in the base, I don't need that, but they need somewhere to sleep. I needed mushrooms to build a sleeping bag. I didn't know mushrooms were an active ingredient in sleeping bags, but
I mean, your character is a pretty fun guy.
Oh my god.
Do you mean Igor, who sounds like an Oxford professor? Like, that's the only way I can describe it. His name is Igor, and he's like got this clipped English accent. It's so weird.
I imagine it's basically you're walking around as Giles from Buffy the Vampire.
It kind of is. It kind of is. It's sort of like, and his name's Igor, and it's just the weirdest thing. Play in Russian, please. Play in Russian language. Like, just, it's so much more immersive when you do that. And unfortunately, like, there is quite a lot of dialogue at times, and it comes up subtitled, and you know, it's like the portrait thing, where you have the picture of the person and they're speaking and stuff. But yeah, it's not bad voice acting. It's just it's a choice, I guess. It's a choice. Not one I agree with 100%, but it is a choice. I'm liking, though, the gunplay is hard because there's not a huge variety of guns, but you can mod the crap out of them. The amount of attachments and changes and stuff you can do with the things you're like scavenging and stuff. There's a lot of ways of playing this game. For example, you can go on that heist mission straight away and you will just get destroyed. Like, you will just get destroyed. But it's that kind of game that gives you the freedom to pick and choose how you approach it, and I like that, especially as a PC game. I'd be really curious to see how well it does on the consoles, and because it's pretty intensive. Like, it needs a lot to look as good as it does on PC, but I'm curious. But there will be, again, a separate review of that. I think I'm going to try and get that done this week as well, because it's curious, and I've just got to try and get all my thoughts. There's so much, when they play a game, and that's why I like indie games, because they're usually like one idea done well or badly. When you've got a game like this that is what I would call triple indie, right? So it's not a major publisher, but it's a very ambitious indie project made from a team of dozens rather than 3 people. It's like there's so many concepts at play and so many interacting systems that it's quite hard to actually get a handle on. Does that work? Because I'm not sure it does. Why do I need mushrooms? That's weird. I can tell you the voice acting is a choice. That's my main takeaway. But yeah, that's what I've been playing quite a lot. We've been playing lots this week. Though mostly Jupiter Hell, because it's awesome. We've also, I don't know if you've started playing the Ascent yet for Game Pass Club, Rob. I'm not going to talk about it a lot now because we'll talk about it next week. We'll really go into it. The reviews are interesting because they go from everything from a 9 to a 6. So it's always curious, I find, when you play a game like that splits the critics, right? I think this game is very good. So it looks incredible on the Series X.
I loaded it onto my console last night before I went to bed, so it would download whilst I wasn't using the machine. I just haven't had the chance to play it yet.
It looks
really, I woke up and turned up.
Yeah, it looks really pretty. Like, and it's basically like Diablo / twin stick shooter, but in sci-fi post-apocalyptic world with loads of RPG mechanics. It's really good. I'm enjoying it a lot, so I look forward to talk about that in depth next week. Anything, Leia?
No, not really. I've been busy with life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm not gaming. Yeah.
Bummer. To find some time to play some games for the next one, so we can talk a bit about this as well. But yeah, I think that's basically the end of this episode, unless anyone else has any final bits. Yeah, all good. All right then, that's been episode 42 of the Experience Kills podcast. I've been your host, Ben. You can find me at DIYE on Twitter. The other host was Rob. You can find him at Homeless Mr. Gibbs on Twitter. And then finally, the final host was Leia. The final host? That sounds like a horror film. The final host, Leia. And she's not on... oh, no. And she's not on Twitter. Now she did a scary face as well. And she's not on Twitter because she's the most sensible of all of us. You can find us collectively at Experience Kills. While you're on YouTube, if you've watched this on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. And also, if you don't have time to enjoy this while looking at our beautiful faces, you can take this as an audio podcast on the go from anywhere a good podcast can be found. And if you find somewhere that we aren't there, you tell me. I'll make that happen. That's the Ben guarantee. I've moved it back up, Rob, because I was like saying I'll try. Now I'm saying I will. I'm confident again that I can do that.
I really want to find a really, really weird podcast supplier that won't let you know. Just
bring it. I welcome the challenge.
Also, it's a lot of effort.
To what? Find that? Yeah, probably. Yeah. What would you Google? Like, shit podcast
easily
place.
accessible. This is the thing. We're so widespread, it would be just so much effort to find a place we're not.
We're everywhere you want us and more. Oh, finally, little plug. The final episode of season 2 of Circling the Vortex went up this week. If you enjoy sliders, check it out. Nobody does.
Not the burgers.
Yeah, not the burgers. The 90s TV show. So until next time, we have been Experience Kills. Give us that like and subscribe, and we will see you very soon, next week probably, and then also during the week, because we'll have stuff then as well. So bye-bye for now.
Ta-ta.
Bye.